Good morning, everyone. Welcome as we are going to kick off this morning with ChatGPT, the next evolution of artificial intelligence. Today, we have Dave Conroy from NAR. He is a seasoned real estate technology expert with over 13 years of experience in the industry. He currently serves as the Director of Emerging Technology at the National Association of Realtors. And throughout his career, Dave has demonstrated a deep understanding of the latest technological advancements in real estate and has been at the forefront of innovation in the field. With a passion for exploring new and cutting edge technologies, Dave has earned a reputation as a thought leader in the industry. Whether it's through his work in the real estate sector or his experience in blockchain, AI, and beyond, Dave is dedicated to helping companies achieve success in the fast paced and ever evolving world of technology. Dave, I'm going to kick it off to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Uh, Share my screen real quick. All right, so good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm really glad to be here today to talk about something that I'm honestly truly passionate about, and that's emerging technology. In fact, my wife loves when I have speaking opportunities like this because that means I've got someone else to talk to besides her about these emerging technologies. So, thanks again to Lauren and the team for this opportunity. Really excited to chat about this today. So let's jump right in. I'd like to start with this quote. The next big thing will start out looking like a toy, and this is from renowned investor and engineer Chris Dixon. And what Chris is referring to here is that the reason why new and emerging technologies will often sneak by existing players in the industry or incumbents is because the initial use cases are often just looked at like a toy. So they're very easily dismissed. So so why is emerging technology dismissed? I mean, if you think about your own personal experiences with this, if you've ever tried a new product that just launched or something that's in beta, you can see that it has some cool features, but because it doesn't do X, Y, and Z, it undershoots your needs, and therefore it's not something you can, implement into your daily business. A great example of this is actually about few hundred years ago, 1886, I believe it was, Western Union had an opportunity to buy all of the patents from Alexander Graham Bell for the telephone. But at the time, the telephone was an emerging technology and it only worked, within certain metros, and they had only a few 100,000 users. And at the time, Western Union, their customers were the railroads. They needed to go coast to coast. They said, all right, this thing is cool. It shows a little bit of promise, but since it doesn't work coast to coast, it has no commercial value. Therefore, they passed on investing in it. So, again, why is disruptive technology dismissed? I believe people fail to anticipate how quickly it can advance. Because within a few years, the technology improved quite a bit. And then the second thing they missed out on is how quickly it could be adopted. And this still happens today, even though this example here is pretty ancient. I mean, you could think of BlackBerry with the iPhones, right? Or telecommunications when Skype came out. They just dismissed this new technology because at first it undershoots people's needs. So why am I talking about that today? That's because I'm going to show you some examples of generative AI. And if you looked at just what's possible today, you'd be like, "Oh, this is cool, but it's going to have no impact on my brokerage." But I'm hoping today that I'm able to convince you to not dismiss this technology because it is improving incredibly quickly and it's being adopted just as fast. Okay, a little bit about me. So, for those of you who I haven't had the pleasure of meeting before, my name is David Conroy. I've been a lifelong technologist. Been in real estate now. I need to update this slide. I think it's 14 years now. I'm a perpetual early adopter. I love to experiment when new technology comes out. I've got a couple examples here for some street cred. This picture is from 2013. This is me mining Bitcoin at my desk. This is this also fits my analogy today because it kind of looks like a toy on a daily basis. People are coming into my office being like, "Hey, what's that toy on your desk?" And I know the verdict is still out on crypto and whether it's going to be viable or whether it's going to have an impact on real estate. Um, it is, though, without question, one of the more disruptive technologies over the past decade. So, and even today, people dismiss it as a toy. But yeah, what we're here to talk about today, though, is not blockchain or crypto. It's actually a technology that I believe will have an impact on the real estate industry even quicker than those, and that is generative AI. So I know today, like when most people, and probably the reason why you signed up for this webinar was because of the craze of Chat GPT. But there are other ways you can use generative AI in your business, and I would be doing a disservice to you if I didn't mention them. So I'll be talking about two different types of generative AI. I'll give you specific examples of how realtors can use them, and then I will show you how consumers are also using these tools because that's something you'll need to know as well. So I want to set a baseline here. While you've all heard of ChatGPT, I'm sure. I'm not sure everyone in the room or virtual room has heard of the term generative AI. So essentially, what generative AI is, it's a type of artificial intelligence that uses deep learning techniques to generate new and unique and original pieces of content. That content could be anything, right? It could be images, text, audio, video. It could be blogs, social media tweets. It could be anything. And I'm going to give you some live demos of this today. And again, I'm going to be showing you two types of generative AI. The first one is going to be how you can use generative AI to improve your images in your listings and in your business. And then the second is going to be generative AI for conversations, and that's the Chat GPT. Again, the thing that's really quite popular these days. So again, the difference is what I'll be showing you first is DALI 2, which generates images from text. It essentially it understands written descriptions and then it produces corresponding images. And I'll show you an example of that in just a moment. And then yeah, ChatGPT designed for conversations. Uh, it can understand and respond to language in a conversational manner. It helps with a wide range of tasks, answering questions, providing information. It can even generate code and new creative writing. It's really quite impressive when it comes to answering real estate questions. But first, let's do the generative AI for images. So let's start with just a couple simple examples. Uh, Here, I provided a prompt to DALI 2, which is a generative AI piece of software. I gave it a prompt, you know, uh, a transparent sculpture of a duck made out of glass. And that within seconds, using artificial intelligence alone, no human interaction, no Photoshop, this is the image that it returned to me, right? Incredibly realistic. Um, Two things about this. I didn't mention anything about a painting behind it, but it knew um, to show me that it was transparent and needed to put something behind it. Um, I gave this presentation to an association in California last week, and someone chimed in and said, "Actually, that's not transparent; that's translucent." So thank you to the audience here today for not pointing that out. But yeah, pretty cool. Let's do one more. So here's another prompt. This one's a little bit silly. A cute corgi that lives in a house made out of sushi. Now, I realize how absurd this is, but again, it's pretty incredible that images like this are being generated in seconds. Hopefully, my introductory quote now is starting to make a little bit more sense. You know, the next big thing might look like a toy. If this was the only exposure you had to generative AI, you'd be like, oh, okay, this is cute, but I'm about improving my business. I don't know if this is going to help. Hopefully, that's starting to make sense. Um, let's do one more silly one. Um, Teddy bear swimming at the Olympics for a 100-meter butterfly event. Uh, what's interesting to this one is, again, incredibly realistic. Uh, it actually even looks like the teddy bear here is doing the appropriate stroke. Um, and the one other little thing I'd like to point out about this is you notice it looks like there's a water drop on the lens. And, the way these technologies work is that they're trained on tens of millions of photos. And I wonder if at some point a photographer was a little bit too close to the pool, and that's how it ended up with a drop of water on the lens. But just, just very, very interesting to me. So at this point, I'm pretty sure you're thinking, like, what the heck does any of this have to do with real estate? What is this crazy guy doing, spending his time building sushi houses for dogs or racing teddy bears in Olympic pools? Well, let me show you. So this technology is going to be used in real estate 100%. Uh, and the first ways, and but not the only ways, the first three ways I see this technology impacting real estate, again, just the image modification stuff, is renovation previews, listing photo modifications. I'm sure you're already using tools for that. And then the third one is actually a high liability, high cost area for real estate professionals, and that's stock photos. Um, let's look at some actual business case examples now. So again, the product I'm showing is Dolly 2. Um, and what it does is it not only can it generate images from prompts, it can also edit images that are uploaded. So here's a screenshot I took from a Matterport scan for a home for sale that's obviously still mid renovation. I see appliances everywhere. This looks like it might be the start of an in-law suite in a basement or something like that. Um, so I've uploaded this photo into Dolly 2, and I can start giving it some examples that would be useful in real estate. So instead of racing teddy bears, we can say things like, okay, remove everything in this room, paint the walls white, add a modern kitchen in the back, and also make sure that there's blue cabinets. So with that instruction, it returns dozens of variations of what I requested. Imagine what this could do for your clients who might be similar to me, who would have trouble picturing what a finished renovation could look like. Um, you could literally generate thousands of permutations of what that could look like. And again, no Photoshop involved. This is actually even faster than me opening Photoshop on my computer. It's that quick. Let's look at another one. This is more like a listing photo modification. So this is a Cape home. It's beautiful. It's got a nice sized backyard, got a sand pit. But imagine you're a seller agent and you wanted to attract the widest audience as possible. Um, so you said, you know what, maybe not everyone has kids. Let's get rid of the sand pit. But you already took your photos. You don't want to send a photographer back out. No problem. Yeah, upload it to Dolly 2, and you give it a simple instruction: remove the sand pit, and it's smart enough to know what the sand pit is, how to remove it, and how to backfill it where it still looks like you an original photo. Um, say you're on the other side of the transaction. Say your client, say you're on the buy side of this transaction, and your client has been looking for months for a home with like a nice brick patio in the backyard, or maybe a fire pit. I live in a town in Massachusetts where we're not allowed to have fire pits. So like my dream home would be a Cape house like this, except like a nice brick patio and a nice place to entertain. Not too interested in having a sand pit. Uh, so again, you can kind of daisy chain these commands together and say, remove the sandbox, add a fire pit, add a brick patio, and you can get a general idea of what that could look like without having to call a contractor. So, uh, and I'm going to show you in a little bit that these tools are now starting to become available via mobile app. They're already starting to add they're becoming voice enabled, which means instead of even having to type out remove the sand pit and add a brick patio, you'll be able to just say it, and it's what you say is what you get. It's really quite incredible. And again, the wildest part of this might be the cost. It's like fractions of a penny. So um, pretty remarkable. I know the craze, and and again, probably why you signed up today was to talk about ChatGPT, and we will get there. But again, it would be a disservice if I didn't mention what can be done with generative AI for images, considering how uh, how heavily images are involved in the real estate process. One This is just one more. You could say remove the sand pit and add a pool. Um, so th- that I've covered renovation previews before with that that kitchen that we generated. I did the listing photo modification here. The last area I want to talk about when it comes to at least the image side of generative AI is stock photos. Um, you might not be aware, but this is a common area where realtors or brokers will receive demand letters from copyright trolls who essentially search the internet for any images that could potentially be used or potentially being used out of license. And they'll send demand letters, two, three, $4,000, like just enough where it makes more sense to settle than fight. And that's just because people incidentally like go to Google Images, find something they like, save it to their desktop, and upload it. Um, you definitely can't do that. But the alternative isn't the best either. There's a lot of stock photo websites out there that they're just so expensive. Like for a single photo, you could spend $500. Now, say you're trying to update your marketing material, you're trying to update your blog, trying to update something for your social media, and you need some real estate photos, but it's not worth thousands of dollars to do stock photos. Well, uh, generative AI can help with that too. So again, here's a prompt: not a sushi house, a real house, a cape house, 2 or 3 stories, moderately steep roof, large central chimney, and very little ornamentation. And here's what I got back. These are all artificially generated. They're not real homes. No one owns these. No photographer took these photos. No photographer owns the rights to these photos. So no one can sue you for using them because they're all generated by AI. So this should be a incredible resource for anyone who needs stock photos in real estate. I see a question from the chat from Joe. What apps can do this text to image editing? There's quite a few these days. We The one I just showed you was called DALI 2, and that's by a company called OpenAI, the same company that does ChatGPT. But Google has a project that does this called Imagine. It's spelled out the word image with an N on the end. And then the one that's actually probably the best at this, in my opinion, is a company called Midjourney. That one is quite remarkable. I feel like just DALI 2 does a better job editing real estate photos, but if you're looking to generate photos from scratch, Midjourney it's remarkable. Okay, so at this point, I'd like to transition from the image generative AI to the hot topic of the month, and that's generative AI for conversations, or as most people know it these days, are Chat GPT. Chat GPT is kind of getting like the Kleenex treatment, right? There are many different products that can do conversational AI, and they're all considered generative AI, but Chat GPT is seemed to have what has stuck in most people's heads. So we can uh, let's talk about this a little bit more. So the way I would describe Chat GPT, um, it's like having an incredibly intelligent assistant who can understand and respond to your messages just like a person would. It's trained on vast amounts of data, like essentially the entire internet. Uh, and it can provide mostly accurate and relevant information on a wide range of topics. And it does a really good job with real estate. It's kind of a little bit scary. Now, in the past, I know we've all had experience with chatbots before, right? Like if you've ever tried to, you know, cancel your internet provider or your cell phone provider, or like you've had to call your insurance or something like that, and you get forced to use these terrible chatbots, and the experience is so miserable that you never even want to contact that company again. Um, this isn't that. Um, these are so much smarter than those bots that I just described, to the point where I would call it, near human-like level intelligence. So, how smart are they? Well, ChatGPT has passed one of the most prestigious business schools in the country. Um, UPenn Wharton has passed their MBA program. Uh, it's also passed the United States medical licensing exam. And when I first started talking about this early January 2023, it had passed components of the bar exam, but with recent updates, it has now passed the entire thing. And remember that, that seemingly random Western Union example that I started with, where I said they, failed to anticipate how quickly it could advance, or how quickly it could be adopted. Uh, ChatGPT was accessed by more than 1 million people in its first week. That took Netflix like 4 years. Facebook, which is, one of the most viral apps of my generation, uh, that took 10 months for them to get to a million users. And again, ChatGPT did it in 5 days. And yeah, they've attracted some pretty prominent investors as well. Microsoft has invested 10 billion in this company, so they got a valuation north of $20 billion. So, how will realtors use this technology? So the way that I'm recommending realtors use this technology, um, is I think it's best used as a muse, right? If you're looking for inspiration for content, say whether it's a blog or a tweet or social media, anything like that, and you need some starter ideas, you need to get past that initial writer's block. Chat GPT works incredibly well for that. We can even do a couple of these live here just to see how quick and effective it is. So the first example I want to show is listing descriptions. Let's take a look at example of that. So I live in Somerville, Massachusetts. I've instructed ChatGPT to write a listing description for a property on my street. Uh, I've given it a little bit to work with. I've mentioned that it's a historic home, but it also needs some renovations. And again, within seconds, it gives me back a very flowery um, listing description. A lot of text here. I won't expect you to read it, but I want to just call out a couple things. It mentions that the home has a rich history and a character that's unique. It's full of potential, just waiting for the right buyer to bring it back to its former glory. And then also the property is a diamond in the rough, things you would see in a home that's listed that needs renovations, right? So it took the instructions quite well. It goes on to say, um, the home is in need of renovations, but with a little TLC, it will shine. Then it goes to talk about the neighborhood, which is somewhat accurate. There is a very vibrant arts community, and there's great nightlife. It mentions here that the nightlife is perfect for young professionals, and there's easy access to public transportation. The public transportation part is true. The subway was just extended to my neighborhood in Boston. And then it even has a hard close that you would see in listing descriptions, like, schedule a tour today. Um, did anyone notice anything interesting about that listing description? Did anything jump out? For some of you, I'm sure, reading this part in particular, the part about the neighborhood, might have been like nails on a chalkboard. Um, that's because the AI in this example had inadvertently violated fair housing laws by saying that a neighborhood is perfect for young professionals. That would be considered perhaps discriminatory in its marketing. So, really, what I want you to take away from this is, while it's one of the coolest technologies I've seen in the past, 10, 20 years, it's not quite perfect yet, and it still needs to know it still needs to be reviewed by a licensed professional, right? You cannot just take this information and auto generate and then ship it out. Everything needs to be reviewed by a licensed professional. A question in the chat from Jacob: how did it know about the number of beds in the baths? Well, that's an interesting one. So when ChatGPT was first launched, it wasn't connected to the internet. So it would just kind of guess on beds and baths. And then, like I said before, you go in and you can tweak it later. Uh, but since I did this example, it was about a month old. Since then, and I was going to talk about this later, but your question is timely. Um, the major real estate portals, like Realtor, Zillow, Redfin, have started building integrations and APIs into uh, these tools. So now, while initially all of this stuff was based off, it was all trained on data from the internet before 2021. Uh, Within 2 months, they're like, "Oh, let's just plug this. We can connect this thing to the internet. It can now search the web, and not only that, but it can actually access like Zillow and Redfin and Realtor.com listings directly." So it will, while that part is still in beta, it's called ChatGPT extensions. Uh, in the example I showed you here, it's guessing. In the future, it will just know everything about the property, and that to me is pretty wild. But again, you can't trust it to just operate on its own because it is not a real estate professional like you are. It is just a large language model. Okay. One more example about how this could be used for, marketing or for as a muse. Um, this time I've instructed. It's funny, like you've got these AI bots, and you have to tell them what they are. Like, okay, you're a realtor on Cape Cod, and you want to attract more first-time home buyers. What are 5 ideas that you have for a blog? And very quickly it'll shoot out multiple examples. I asked for 5, and within seconds it gave me ones about, all right, you could talk about how the history impacts the architecture, or maybe essential tips for first time home buyers, or how to purchase homes that would be good for rental income. And then you can simply say, like, okay, I like these ideas, but I really like number 2 because that's the closest to my um, that was closest to my initial request about essential tips for first-time home buyers. Can you give me an outline for that blog? And immediately, like I had to trim this down because it does so much of the work for you that like I wouldn't even be able to fit it on the screen. And you could essentially say, okay, just write that blog and how many words you wanted, and it would do it. And um, while not perfect, it's like it would get you 95% of the way there, where you could then add your own voice to it and make it your own, so it's not just completely you know vanilla, like bot generated content. In the future, it's going to be very important for your content that you put out to have some authenticity to it, because as you've seen, these tools are allowing really what they're doing is they're lowering the cost of generating content to absolutely zero. So really what you need to do is emphasize on your reputation, your voice, and your relationships, because soon anyone can be a blog expert writing about Cape Cod. Uh, and one of the fun things you can do is like, so you've asked for blog ideas, you've asked for an outline, you've asked it, you can ask it to write the blog if you want. And then you can say, okay, now I need to promote this on social media. Can you give me a tweet that summarizes it? And yes, are you a first-time home buyer looking to settle in on picturesque Cape Cod? Here's essential tips. It's got emojis. It looks like something you would see on Twitter. I mean, I wouldn't tweet like this, but you could see like where it came from. You could even ask it for appropriate hashtags, and it'll give you those as well. So just really really wild. Um, I'm someone who personally suffers with writer's block. Um, so this tool has been very useful for me, and I'm sure if you have marketing teams, or you like to do any content marketing for your brokerages, you should at least give this tool a try, because it can just help you get started. Again, don't ship everything it puts out without reviewing it, but it really is a nice way, again, if it's used as a muse. Uh, I quickly want to talk about how consumers are going to be using that, because I think it's important for as realtors to understand that as well. So this is hot off the presses. This was just released yesterday. So ChatGPT now has a mobile app for iPhone. It's only available in the US for now, but it will be released worldwide shortly. And I can tell the questions are going to be coming in already. Yes, they're doing an Android version. That's their next priority. Uh, I would be careful when downloading this because the App Store is full of a lot of imitators or a lot of apps that are kind of just using ChatGPT in the back end, but um, they release the app first. Make sure that the one you're downloading is the official app by OpenAI. I took a screenshot from the App Store here, so you could get a quick look at it. But again, kind of like how Google might have been your homepage for the last 10, 15 years. uh, there are people in the future who they are going to be, instead of using Google to start their search, they're going to be using chatbots. You can get instant answers to questions. You can get tailored advice. You can have inspiration for creativity, um, and it can even give you input on content that you've created yourself. So uh, one other thing I wanted to show was this one is just really fun. This is Realtor.com. This is they released this about a month ago. Uh, I believe it's realtor.com/AI. Uh, and what they remember, like before, I was showing the stock photo generations of those Cape homes. Uh, well, in this case, what Realtor.com has created is okay. Type in what would be your dream home, right? So I experimented with this, and I said, all right, I want a beach house. I want a gray exterior. Again, I'm from Boston. So I wanted a home that would be suitable for New England. And instead of generating like a fake stock photo for me to use my website, it created this dream home right here, which is pretty close to I would love a home like that. But the really nice piece of UX that Realtor.com did here is okay, here's what your dream home. Um, maybe that dream could come true. And then here's four actual listings that look similar to what I described. I'm not quite in a place where I can afford these dream homes yet, but just, I mean, who starts their home search with properties they could afford, anyways? But just really cool. Like, okay, describe what would be your perfect house. We'll create it for you. We'll show it to you, and then, by the way, here's actual listings um, if you wanted to make this dream come true. And again, Zillow and Redfin also have Chat GPT extensions in the works. So to recap, generative AI is here. It's been here for about a year at least. It's affordable and it's easy to use, and it'll have massive implications on images. And ChatGPT, the conversational side, while it's new, it's going to be a game changer. It's already being integrated into portals. And again, kind of what I was speaking about before when I was talking about how ChatGPT has been connected to the internet. Um, the cost of generating content around real estate and it's going towards zero. So really, what you should be focusing on is your relationships with your clients. And meanwhile, this AI will provide all sorts of opportunities like image photo modification, assisted listing creation, new ways to search for consumers, and just more tools in general for consumers. Now, hopefully, I haven't scared too many people about what does the future of AI mean for the real estate industry. I do want you to know that it is far from perfect. And to highlight that, I'd like to include just one last image here. Uh, four photos of salmon swimming upstream, and here was what was created for me. Not exactly what I was looking for. So again, to wrap it up, generative AI, ChatGPT, it's not perfect, but neither are we, right? But it's kind of like the combination, like it's another tool in your toolbox. It can help you, reach new heights if you're able to use it well. So if this conversation was interesting to you, or you'd like to be involved in more futuristic type talks. I'd love to continue the conversation. You can find me at dave.realestate. That will redirect you directly to my LinkedIn profile. And if you'd like to attend any NAR events where we're talking about the future of technology, the best place you can do it is at the IOI Summit. I'll be in attendance and you get to meet me. That's a nice perk. But again, lots of prop tech talk, lots of startups, a lot of fun innovation at the NAR IOI Summit. Um, uh, Lauren, I'm just going to jump into the questions that are coming in here, if that works for you.
You got it.
Cool. So, how much does ChatGPT cost? So, everything I showed you today has a free tier, but because it's so heavy in demand, that sometimes that free tier just isn't available. ChatGPT does have a GPT plus, like every app has like a plus these days. And that's $20 a month, and that gets you a couple of extra features and a little bit higher priority when it comes to times of high demand. Um, but yeah, they're all very, very cheap, like $20 a month for the premium, and or you can just use it for free. Um, pretty affordable. I don't know if at the point it's just being like subsidized by all the massive investments from big tech, and it'll eventually get more expensive, like we've seen from rideshare apps. But right now, it is dirt cheap.
Awesome. Well, Dave, thank you so very much. I think everyone really is going to be able to step away from this knowing a lot more and feeling a little better as far as utilizing this in their real estate careers. So thank you again for your time. I really appreciate it. And I'm sure the members do too.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you.